Hi, welcome. I'm Kaila Love, also known as the AI Homegirl, and this is my Vibe Coder conference session on the number one barrier stopping every Vibe Coder from going to market. So, let me give you a little background because I consider myself to be vibe coding before vibe coding was a thing. Before ChatGPT, generative AI, before the tools, I just knew what I wanted to build. And that is the most important thing because 50% of vibe coding is vibes. And this was actually the very first app that I built. I was teaching kids music at the time.
Like scroll down
And
and like play.
this was my niece doing a demonstration, being my first user. You could click on a little icon and you could hear the instruments. And then I had a section where you could hear a genre of music. And she hates this, so I'm going to go ahead and forward. But the most important thing was that I knew I wanted to build, and I already had a customer in mind, which was, the schools that I was teaching for, was the students in my classroom. And so I was building with intention. And eventually that led me to start my own business, staying true to my passion for music. I did 6 figures in 6 months with a white label version of a software called High Level that I customized, that I essentially vibe coded because once again, there was no chat GPT. I would just go into things like CodePen and I would Google my way through. And even when I didn't understand the code, it was a lot of trial and error. And I was able to build this really successful business where artists all around the world to consumer. And music is the hardest thing to sell. That's why on Shark Tank, you see Mark Cuban and anybody who has a music product, even if it's profitable, what does he say? The music industry is the worst industry to get into. And for that reason, I'm out. And it makes sense. But it also gave me the confidence and the encouragement and to know a bit about going to market, a bit about getting my products into the hands of real users and helping them make money, selling them the solution to their problem. And once vibe coding came around, like official vibe coding, not kind of what I was doing in that app I was showing you, that's when there was a true unlock. So everything I'm talking about today is not theory. I'm an official Lovable ambassador. Actually, I was the second ever Ambassador of the Month, which was earlier this year. I'm an N8N ambassador. I also represent companies like Appify. Hey Jen, I've been a judge for various hackathons like this 11 Labs one in building AI conversational agents. And I've also organized hackathons and built vibe coded an entire hackathon operating system to facilitate that, teaching around the world in multiple different countries. Here's just some of the events that I've done. I've taught over 5,000 students, and I am the CEO of what you see in this corner here, VCI, Vibe Coding Incubator, helping non technical founders go from idea to functional app to investable business. And like I said, I've been throwing hackathons, vibe coding pop up events, virtual events. I see a wide range of founders, of aspiring founders, from single moms who just want to create a digital product that's going to generate some passive income on the side, to traditional full stack developers who are very well versed, except in the new age of AI, are not knowing what an MCP is, and everything in between. And there seems to be something that's universal about them, which is that they're making the same mistake. And it's this mistake that I am honing in on today because it's the thing I'm really seeing them stop, that's stopping them from going to market. And that is overbuilding. All right, overbuilding. It's this just one more feature trap. And this is a trap that has existed before vibe coding, but it's really accentuated now because what vibe coding has done is given birth to a new class of builders. People who could never write code before are now able to ship real products. First time founders, non technical creators, future CEOs. And I there's this phenomenon that happens. I'm going to coin this term first build fever, is what I see. It's pretty universal also. It's when I do an intro to vibe coding workshop. I'll start on a tool like Lovable or even Claude Code. And the next day, it's like whoa, what happened to you? Hairs all frizzed up, bags under their eyes. It's like, I haven't slept in 36 hours. I was up all night making my app. And there's this phenomenon where this new class of builders, of vibe coders, are so excited that all of a sudden, these ideas that have been stuck in their brain for months, years, decades can now easily be expressed and become tangible through simple vibe coding tools. And so, naturally, all of this pent up creative energy and vision and ideas, it leads to this overbuilding. And so, the barrier is not technical anymore, it's psychological. Now that we're seeing a lot of vibe coded products flood the market, there's a new barrier, and it's psychological. So let's get into what that actually means. It's where vibe coders go wrong. All right. So they're opening up, they don't have a plan, but they have an idea, and they just start doing a brain dump of every feature that they've ever imagined straight into the builder. And it's building something massive, right? AI is always trying to please us, to make us happy, to give us what we want. But suddenly things aren't working right. Maybe they start working right, they continue to iterate, they don't understand the concept of a database, right? Or RLS, they start running into security issues. And even though then all of a sudden the things that were working up front start breaking down, they go to fix it, a new error arises, and now they're spending weeks with frustration, lost time, lost credits, building something that nobody necessarily asked for. And that's the other part about going to market, is just building something that's not validated, that is not solving a real problem, or is not solving a problem that's painful enough. Now, not every vibe coder has to be a founder. There's plenty of people that are building simple solutions for themselves or for a small business that serves the purpose that it's supposed to serve. It doesn't have to go on and become like a huge business, right? But a lot of times, even if you're building for yourself, you have your ICP, your ideal customer profile, in mind. And maybe you're just learning and creating portfolio projects, and that's great. But this is something that I want to help anybody, especially if you're a new vibe coder, to prevent. And even if you are a more experienced vibe coder, you can get a lot from this session, because I'm going to break down the framework on how to prevent this. The MVP framework that stops this loop from happening before it even starts. All right. And just to review, the MVP stands for minimum viable product, right? Which is the minimum amount of value that you can provide to a user that is going to solve at least some of the pain points that they have, right? Solve some aspect of their problem enough to get that stickiness, to get them to want to come back to you. All right. And let's break it down into 3 simple steps. All right. This is the timeline, the architecture, and it's your entire app. All right. So I encourage all the founders that I work with inside of Vibe Coding Incubator, which again is my online community. It's a free at forever community. I do trainings in there every week, and it's agnostic to the tool. This is the part that is universal to really every business. It's like, how do you ideate? So first, the idea is you have a viable idea, and now you're ready to turn it into your software. Well, instead of defining every feature and trying to build that out, you stick with the problem, you identify a problem, one solution, and the most viable way to solve that problem, right? Like one feature that's going to make the most impact, that's going to relieve the most pain in a simple way. And so I'm going to go through this in detail, but the overall, so you can see the roadmap, is this input, transformation, output framework. So I'm going to give you examples of all 3 of these, and then I'm going to show you a real app that demonstrates this framework and how to monetize, how to come up with an offer ladder. So let's get into it. Now, the first thing is the input. It's what the user gives to you. This is the data collection piece that allows you to have enough to create something meaningful, value for them. So some examples of user inputs could be simple text, like a questionnaire. It could be like selection, so you're doing multiple choice options, or a radio where they pick, or a checkbox where they can do multiples. It could be something that they upload, a video, an image, audio, a PDF. It could be form data. Like I love voice typing prompts because I think that we're heading into this voice first world. So that would be an input. And here, the input could also be nothing, which is fine as long as that is an intentional choice, where the user is simply browsing or viewing content. Now, a lot of times your app is going to mix and match, combining two or three of these, and you just want to pick what is essential. All right. Again, there's also, I see people overbuilding in my community during a call, and I just give them a kiss. Hey, keep it super simple. All right, the simplicity wins here because a lot of times we need to be able to articulate what our app does in 5 seconds or less. Oh, I get it. And keeping it simple allows us to be more successful at that. Now let's talk about the transformation. What is the thing that your app actually does? This is where the value is created, and this is where AI makes things really exciting because we're able to provide a transformation like never before with the power of AI. This is the core feature. So once you get that user input, what does your app do to it? Does it organize it? Right? I had a user, Ava, who created an app where somebody could upload a contract, and it would be able to extract all of the important information, all of the red flags, and break it down into natural language. So basically, it translates a complicated contract and takes the legalese. And so that's a sense of organizing something. It's kind of also generating something because it would give a score, a report. A lot of times we think of generation where, I upload an image and then there's a transformation of something that happens to my image. Maybe it's like what I would look like as a Harry Potter character or something like that. It could be calculating, right? Again, a score, a price. It could be storing information for later, connecting people or connecting people to resources, right? Matching algorithms. It could just be that information is displayed in a better way or it's sent somewhere else. It doesn't matter, again, what the input or the transformation is, as long as it's rooted in solving a problem, and ideally a problem that is painful for people, right? The more that you can relieve them of their pain, the more value you're able to provide for them. So you just want to pick something and resist adding more. It's the constraint here, all right? Now let's talk about what the user gets, the output, what they're going to walk away with, the tangible thing. This is what they came for. Now, I said in the example of generation, the output that I would have in that example would be the image of me generated as a Harry Potter character. I know that's so random. It was like the thing that just pops into my mind. So that would be the tangible thing, would be like a PNG, right? Or it could be a PDF, or it could be a video, or it could be an MP3. It might just be a dashboard, right? A place that they could go log in, that they could revisit, maybe the data updates. It could be a score or a result, which is a bit more static, right? Usually a one-off thing. And I'm going to show you again an example here in a minute. It might be a collection, access to a curated library or feed. I also will show you that, an example that I have for you. And status tracking, especially if you're doing anything related to e-commerce, this is a helpful one. A payment confirmation, a download. All right. So in the generated content, it's creating something new that then they're probably able to download. Or maybe it's like a lead magnet where you already have the outputs and they take a quiz and then they get the pre-generated one that is ready for them and they're able to download it. So again, you want to think about what is going to bring them back, right? It's the reason that they return. So it has to actually provide value. And the way that we provide, like where in our app, really matters. And I'm going to show you that in just a minute because this is the other major mistake that I see vibe coders making, and also why they're not being profitable. Okay. Now, I just want to give a quick caveat here. For anybody who's already started building and is like, oh man, I wouldn't even know how to fit my app into this framework. What do you do if you've already gotten carried away? Well, I've had to do this a couple times where it's like, hey, you know what? It's going to take me way too long. I just don't have the time or the resources to continue building this out. But you should not let that stop you from validating your idea and getting to market. So, what you should do instead is create a waitlist page, and it runs on the exact same framework. All right, so you create a landing page, you're explaining the value proposition of your app. Maybe you have some type of demo video or promotional video that you could generate with like Remotion or Hyperframes. Then you just have a simple form. The user input is their name, their email. Maybe you have one or two, maybe short answer or multiple choice qualifying questions. Great. That's more data than you had before. And now you can actually validate your idea, showing signal, tracking the number of people that are going, visiting that page and converting into signing up for your wait list, right? Because a lot of the times, again, the barrier is not technical, it's psychological. And for some reason, it's like a lot of builders, they're not marketers, they're not sellers. That's why they're in the basement, vibe coding away, and then go to Facebook 6 months later, like, hey guys, I want to share something with you that I've been working on. I'm really passionate about it, and I'm super excited to announce today that, my app is out. And then they get 3 likes, and one of them is their mom. So, again, don't build just like in the shadows. Start getting it out there, even if it's a simple wait list page, because you can also get really great qualitative data. Start seeing if the people you're attracting are actually your ICP, your ideal customer profile. Being a founder at this stage, you're small enough to where you could actually personally reach out, schedule them on a call, ask them questions, give them the link to test it out, see how they respond to it. The transformation here is that they would store their information to like a CRM and send them, and an email is generated. All right. I When I see people signing up for my waitlist, of course, there's the people that sign up with a Google, at gmail.com email address. But a lot of people will end up signing up with a branded email address. Like I have Kayla at the AIhomegirl.com. Well, because we have this newfound ability with vibe coding and generative AI, I can actually send like a Firecrawl scraper and extract the domain from their email and then go crawl their site and do research on them. So then when I do sit down to reach out or do personalized outreach or just send it to an agent to generate the email, it's actually pulling from real data from their site, and it's actually a personalized email. So that's a cool transformation to have even on a waitlist page before I even get my app out there. And then the output, what the user gets, is that confirmation page shown, right? And a welcome email is sent, right? And ideally, it would be one that is personalized, because it just, who wants to have the same thank you for signing up for the wait list, versus something like, hey, I've noticed something about your site, something that shows this is not a generic email. Okay. Ways to stand out of the crowd. Okay. So again, the test here is one sentence and then build, right? What's your input? What's the transformation? What's the output? This is what I teach as the foundation for app building. Because if you cannot get this down to an MVP, this should not take more than like 3 hours to build. It's like a hackathon project. Iterate, prototype quickly, get it to market quickly. Stop overthinking, stop overbuilding, because that is the number one barrier I'm seeing with vibe coders getting to market. All right. For anybody interested, this is the free forever community, vcinc.ai. And also, we're going to have an upcoming Claude Cowork bootcamp. It's our first time doing the Claude Cowork. We've done 3 successful sold out boot camps for Claude Code, and we will be offering that again at the end of July. All right, so now it's time to get into the live demo. So this is an app that I built literally just to demonstrate this concept for my students. It's called ChargeWell, and the problem that I'm solving here is for coaches doing implementation services, people doing dev work, or like, creating websites or automations, and they're just like, I don't know what to charge, because a website, you see our websites from $500 to $5,000 to $50,000. How do you decide? Okay. That's what I built Chargewell for. So it starts with a very simple input, which is a voice note. Again, voice first typing. I am creating a custom GPT for an education nonprofit that wants to align on brand voice for email marketing and social media. Okay, so it's just going to go ahead. That's what we have as the input right now. And now it's going to, again, the transformation is it's parsing my answers into this structured data. So it's like, what am I selling? Custom GPT. How long will this take? Let's say it'll take 6 hours. Let's say let's go intermediate. And it considered the nonprofit to be more of a startup. And then if I wanted to, I could put in my location. And now it's going to calculate what I could be charging for this. Now, all right. So now we can see that it says that I should charge around $27.50, and I actually built this and I charged $3,000. So it's pretty on point. Now you can see, hopefully you noticed something unique. I didn't ask for an email yet. So anybody can go on, and what you just received here is absolutely free, right? Free, not like lead generation free. All right. Then you can also see potential package options. So it gives a range of pricing. And then it gives a whole offer stack. Wow, that's cool. Let's see what else. Pricing strategy. There we go. All right. This is another important aspect of the MVP method in monetizing is having a email wall and then a paywall. Because one of the other biggest mistakes that I see vibe coders making is that you want to go on, you want to get their thing, and you have no proof that it works or is providing value. And I know if I see that I have to make an account before I even know if this thing works, I'm done. I'm out of here. So now I've built enough trust where it's like, man, I want to see what's behind, what to watch out for, the market research, what's behind all of these. Now I can put in my email, unlock. All right. And then you'll notice it's that instant gratification. It unlocks everything. So now I have successfully captured my lead. Now at the bottom here, it was like the call to action was, do you want to save this report? So I have two calls to action that lead to the same result, which is the email capture. One is unlock your full report, and that's what they got hit with, you just saw. And then the other one was, do you want to save your report? But once I get the email, the next ladder, the step in the ladder happens where it's like, oh, it's time to make some money. Maybe you would want to buy from me. So now it's saying your proposal is ready. View my proposal. What does that mean? Create proposal. And I've taken this offer stack that I created. You can upload your logo. You can easily change your color. And then you can remove or add things for your stack. You can easily put in, a Stripe link and then send this off. And it costs $5. Okay, $5 if you want to download this one time, or if you want to have unlimited, then $9 a month. I think people are getting really jaded with subscriptions. I know we love MRR, but I think like offering the option, and there's people that will like end up spending $15. Like you should have just spent the $9, but hey, whatever. At least I'm giving options here. But do you see how that works about being intentional with what we give away for free, what we put in exchange for an email, and then what we're actually charging for? All right. And then this is what can lead to higher ticket. This is what you can lead to actually validate your idea even further. Because it is one thing if you have people using it, it's another thing, more signal that when people are giving their email, and then you have the chance to nurture them and continue to promote your paid thing. And then, of course, when you convert into that paid user, is the best signal that you can get. Hey, I'm really solving people's problems. And I will randomly sell this, even though I don't promote it at all. I literally created this as a teaching tool to demonstrate the MVP framework. Okay, that's the part. Now, the last a couple, I want to give you two more resources. All right. One, I showed you that typing component here at the very beginning. That is something I created on vibecodecomponents.com. So here, this is, a library. This is one of the input is that there's nothing. You're just browsing. And people will come here just to kind of explore it like a playground, where you can see a toast notification or see what a tooltip is when I hover, or see what a modal or an open panel. And then you can easily just copy and paste prompts. And there we have it, where you're prompted to get a free account. I had a friend who was like, UX, I don't know what any of this means. And so I was like, hey, part of the AI revolution is that we can create personalized software. Let me add a homegirl mode. So if you go toggle on homegirl mode, it translates everything on the page into Kaila Love speak. So instead of, the top prompts, the most requested components by our community, in homegirl mode, it's the hottest prompts. These prompts are money, baby. All right. So just another example of how you can be really creative with your software, and a way for me to kind of speak to maybe more established vibe coders and people that are learning vibe coding for the first time. Now, the last resource that I want to give you is vibecodekitchen.com, where I actually have over 40 ideas. And this Chargewell, the pricing calculator, is on here. I just picked a random idea to build out as a curriculum. And if you go, you can actually see the blueprint of what the user input is, the transformation, and the output. And then it also gives you ideas for how to create a very simple offer ladder to monetize. So there are over 40 very simple micro SaaS ideas, if you don't know what to build, just to help you stay within the scope and stay true to that MVP. So I think I'm coming up on time. I just wanted to share this with you. I hope that this session was super helpful. And if it wasn't, well, you know, sorry, can't give you your time back, but thanks for being here anyways. You feel free to reach out to me. I'm Kaila Love, the AI homegirl. My email is kayla@vcinc.ai. It has been awesome getting to share my MVP framework with you, and happy vibe coding. I hope that y'all will take this, go out there, get to market as fast as possible, launch even if you don't feel ready. And it doesn't have to be to the world, it could be to a small group. Find your ICP, send them a link, get them on the wait list. It's going to encourage you to take the next step, to build out that next email sequence, to put up that paywall, to start collecting data, collecting payments, even if they're small, because that means you built end to end. And that's my goal for you. So without further ado, signing off, over and out. It's Kaila Love, the AI homegirl.